Welcome to another FPL video ahead of Game Week 33. As highly requested, we're doing a best free hit team video, so let me know what you think of this and are there any changes you would make. I'm open to suggestions and I encourage your feedback, but let's get straight into this. If this video gets to 150 likes, we can do a best wildcard team video as well for Game Week 33, which will definitely be the case in Game Week 34 anyway, as a lot of you will be using the chip in that game week. But I'm going to go for Kasper Schmeichel, who's a great wildcard free hit and just a free transfer anyway. He's a great pick in all three circumstances. Ben Foster's the second goalkeeper, just as a facilitator. He will be sitting on your bench. Schmeichel will be starting, of course, and he saved the penalty against Crystal Palace today. So obviously a really encouraging performance there. What I like about Schmeichel long term, and that's why I always talk about him for the wild card, apart from the fact that he's cheap, he has plenty of doubles, but also great quality fixtures. And I like the games for Game Week 33, although I would argue the ones in Game Week 36 are even better. But regardless, I think he's probably the best right now, especially with Arsenal and Ramsdale kind of tailing off, not keeping too many clean sheets recently. What I would actually suggest though is that Schmeichel has only kept 5 clean sheets all season, so Leicester aren't the greatest defensively, but I still think Schmeichel can get a return for you. Alternatives would still include Ramsdale, who is one of the best goalkeepers this season, and Martin Dubravka. Let me know which 3 of those would you pick. I think I'm still going to go for Schmeichel. I don't like too many of the double game week defenders, so therefore for Leicester I would cover them with Schmeichel, although you could maybe go for Timothy Castagna or maybe James Justin instead. I think I would go about it this way though. During the reaction stream, quite a common question was, do we prioritise the double game week players or the single game week ones? As quite a lot of these with single game weeks like Kulusevski, Son, Salah, Cancelo, etc., they all could do very well and outperform a lot of the double game week players. I would go for a mixture like this. Joao Cancelo is the second highest scoring defender in FPL this season and the highest in UCL fantasy. And against Brighton, I would back City for the clean sheet, and I would go for him over the likes of Castagna and all these Leicester defenders personally. And Fabian Schär, I think, offers great value. I'd probably start him with that double, and he offers great value. You could always bench him if possible, maybe go for Ben White instead. That's completely up to you, but I think I'd actually lean more towards Schär if you had to pick one. And I'd go for Robertson just to cover Liverpool fullbacks against Manchester United. I would expect a clean sheet there potentially, and also some attacking returns, but obviously you never know. United could still turn up and it's a fierce rivalry. Ben Johnson is there as the 5th defender. Ben White could either be your first sub or be in your starting 11. Let me know what you would do there. Let's go through the midfield and the attack and also talk about how things would line up exactly, as well as the captaincy. Despite Arsenal's poor form, I'd still go for Bukayo Saka. He hasn't been great recently, but then again, neither has any of the Arsenal players right now. But I think he can bounce back against Southampton and maybe even Chelsea. Although I think that right now things are really difficult for the Gunners and they probably won't finish in the top 4. That's just the way it's looking right now. Spurs are the informed team, and I'd still go for Heung-min Son there, as you can see. He's even a great captaincy shout, although I would probably lean more towards the double game weekers in this instance. And there is no Mohamed Salah. And there's also Kevin De Bruyne, who's a great option. He's in fantastic form. I've recommended him in UCL fantasy, especially on the Limitless, and also in FPL. But the only way you're going to be able to afford De Bruyne is if you sell Salah, and that's something you have to commit to long term. But in terms of the free hit, I think I would go without any of them, and Heung-min Son would be the one in that midfield, just because of Spurs' form. They've been incredible, and Son has produced 3 double-digit returns in consecutive games, including a hat-trick in Game Week 32, which completely carried me this week and gave me a green arrow. Maddison and Barnes are both there, just because there's always that debate, who do we go for out of the 2? I think Maddison has looked better recently. Barnes, of course, didn't start in Game Week 32. Maddison did and got a bonus point as well as an assist. Bruno Fernandes is in there. United have looked awful, but that fixture against Norwich, I would expect them to score 1 or 2 goals against Norwich, and Bruno Fernandes could be a key part of that. Would you captain him? It's very hard for me to really suggest a captaincy on Bruno Fernandes despite a double game week, because he is facing Liverpool as part of that double. And just kind of a spoiler alert, Fernandes is the only United player in this team. Some of you may go for 2 or 3, and that makes sense. You might want to target the double game weeks a little bit more. But when that double involves Liverpool and United aren't necessarily a great team right now, I just don't think it's worth it. And I would balance things out with single game week players as well as double game week ones. But in terms of the captaincy, I think it will be quite close between the likes of James Maddison, Fernandes, and possibly even Heung-min Son. The front 3 is pretty standard. I talked about this in my best free hit and wildcard teams for Game Week 32. Tony with a goal and an assist against West Ham. He's been incredible. And you could go for a double gimmick player like Che Adams, even Weghorst, dare I say, or Chris Wood. I think I would consider Chris Wood and possibly Che Adams instead of Toney just for the double. Let me know. But it's really hard to ignore Ivan Toney with his form. It's been incredible. And he's facing Watford. I think that's a very appealing fixture. And Harry Kane is in here. Once again, a kind of alternative is to go for Cristiano Ronaldo and target the double. But right now, Harry Kane with a single game week, I think is better than Ronaldo with a double game week. And it also comes down to Spurs versus United. Spurs are just looking much better at the moment, especially offensively. Let me know, would you go for Harry Kane or Ronaldo, especially on the free hit? And would you go for Ivan Toney or Chris Wood? I think I can, see a case and I can understand if you go for Chris Wood instead of Toney. But I think I just want to make the point that it's very hard to ignore form, especially with the forwards, because it's so hard to come by. Kane and Toney are great options until the end of the season, despite a few tough fixtures for Brentford. And Mateta is there as the third striker. He would be on the bench. And the way this lines up would be Schmeichel in goal, a back three of Cancelo, Schär and Robertson, although once again you could go for Ben White as well instead. The midfield five would all start, and then Kane and Ivan Toney up front. But like I already said, if you want to target the double game weeks a little bit more, you can go for Chris Wood over Ivan Toney and maybe Ronaldo instead of Harry Kane. In terms of how much this team would cost, it would be 105.2 million, which is exactly what I have. So I have nothing left over to improve this squad. Let me know what you think. Obviously, I encourage all of your feedback, even if it's positive or negative, as long as it's constructive, and I can understand if you want to target the doubles a bit more, especially on a free hit. It makes complete sense, and maybe if I played the free hit, maybe I'd make a few changes, but honestly, this looks pretty good, and sometimes the single game week players will outperform the double game week ones. I definitely would prefer Toney over Weghorst this week, just because look at the form, look at the stats as well, as I talked about in my reaction stream and previous videos like the transfer tips. But thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button and subscribe for new. Who would you captain from this team? I think personally I'd go for Bruno Fernandes or James Maddison, but you also can't ignore Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. I think they would be two of the best options as well. Despite the fact that they only have one game in game week 33, I wouldn't consider anyone else for the captaincy personally. But you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and also join the Discord server. The link is in the description below. Consider joining us on Patreon and also as a channel member. The link is in the description below, and you can see the list of all the tiers and the perks, and you can also get exclusive early access to all my videos. So take care, enjoy the football as always, good luck in game week 33, and I'll see you next time.